Good morning, everybody. Without further ado, I just want to introduce the President of the University, Kieran O'Hogarty, to say welcome and to ask him to open the event.
Sean Green Mark agus Han Fáiltróibh go Gaillimh agus go dtí Ollscoil ní Gaillimh mar bheith at University of Galway. We're very pleased to welcome you on campus, and particularly to this building. We're very pleased and proud of this building as really a hub of openness, and I think this conference in particular captures that mood, I think, already, in the sense of being open to the particularly keen at this conference, the sense that there's an openness to the links between research, policy, practice, impact, as the title of the conference suggests. And that reminds me of our university values. And very often when I have invitations to events such as this, as colleagues will know, I talk a lot about our values and what we aspire to. And it's always easy here because they fit. This particular conference, our colleagues here in ILAS, the UNESCO chair, all embody the values of this university. Values of respect, first of all, and I know that's a particular element of the work of Pat Dolan, John and colleagues here, that we should have respect for each other in the work we do, respect for ourselves in the context of the sense of pride that we should have in our work, but most of all respect for others or in the community of academics, of scholars, but also in the community in which we operate. And I know that Pat is very keen, and colleagues very keen, on that sense of empathy that comes out of respect. And when we talked about our values as a university and as part of a university strategy, we had as part of the external advisory group Patricia King from the Congress of Trade Unions, who, when we talked about our values, said if respect is the greatest of these. If we only had one word, and if it was respect, and if we only lived to one value and it was respect, that would be enough. And I think that's very important for us in the context of this particular conference and the research, the policy impact, the work that you do, that it is imbued with respect and imbued with the sense of this university as being a university for the public good. And very often we don't say that enough, that universities and NUI Galway, University of Galway, Ollscoil na Gaillimh in particular, we see ourselves here as for the public good. And that means we're not here for ourselves, we're not here for our own benefit, but we're here for the benefit of the society in which we live, the economy which that society which serves that society, and that's important that it's society first, economy second, but more importantly the sense of community that we have, not only in Galway and for Galway, but more widely as well. And that sense that there's no contradiction between having that sense of openness and that sense of respect and excellence at the same time. And that brings me to our second value, and I know that, again, this is imbued throughout the conference today, that this sense of excellence that's here. And when we started to talk about excellence and respect in the one sentence, at one stage people were saying, well, surely there's a contradiction there. Excellence is a tough word, and sometimes it doesn't sit well with respect. In fact, I think quite the contrary. If we respect ourselves, we respect each other, respect the community in which we work, we do our best work for each other. And we do our best, and we have excellence as part of our DNA if we have respect. So they go hand in hand. And again, the quality of the work that's done here, the excellence, the evidence base, I think all of that speaks to the respect that we have for the literature, for the evidence, for the work we do, and the work and the policy impact that has for others. And I think that's a particularly important aspect of the work you do as well. The third element I'd just like to mention in particular again is that sense of openness, and I'm particularly keen, as I said at the beginning, that this conference is open to collaboration not only in the academic context but across our community of academics, policymakers, those involved on the front line, those involved in making policy more generally. Very important part of what we see ourselves as a university, and we try to measure our impact as much as we can. And in the Times Higher recently, we were ranked in the top 50 in the world for impact, and we were very pleased with that in the context particularly of the Sustainable Development Goals. Because for us, it's a very important part of what we are as a university. A university, as you see, with no gates, a university that's open to the community outside in both physical and conceptual or metaphorical terms. And this conference represents that very much. And then finally, it also represents our value of sustainability. And Deirdre mentioned already the app and what we're trying to do in the context of environmental sustainability, and students in particular, when we talked about our values, talked about that. This was very important, as you might understand, to them, because they are the next generation that needs to live on this planet. There's no planet B, and in particular they were keen that we have a value of sustainability as part of our values of the university more broadly. And we talk about that as environmental sustainability very often. But for me, again, conferences such as this represent that value too, because we are here sustaining traditions of research, traditions of impact, traditions of policy making, and particularly traditions where we work with our students, our graduates, where we have the kind of intergenerational academic and policy making experience that's particularly important to us as well. So sustaining the next generation is part of what a university does. And in this particular context, the next generation is a broad span. It's not just our students, but children, families, and society more generally, and the importance of sustaining those groups and individuals within society, particularly important to us as well. So I commend the work. Tracy Nevos and Albert Harshulag on Tamidana Vuikdiv. We're very proud of the work that's done here in Galway. Very proud of ILAS, very proud of that we have the UNESCO chair in Pat Dolan. We have Mark Brennan here as well from Penn State, and welcome Mark, and the relationship between the two UNESCO chairs in Galway and at Penn State. Very proud that, noting that we're also have the support here for the first time of the HSE Mental Health Unit, and particular thinking about the context of resilience and sustainability after COVID, and resilience and sustainability in an intergenerational sense, as I mentioned. So this conference captures a lot of what is open, respectful, excellent and sustainable about this university, and I commend you for it. And I'll just mention one small word that's here that I sometimes mention in other contexts, that word "for." And I mentioned earlier that we were a university for the public good. And I think the sense that this conference is a compass for youth, but also for youth policy and practice. That idea of "for," it's a small word, but particularly important, because it means that it serves a purpose. It is for others. And very often we do our best work for others. And I know that you do your best work thinking of others, but in fact, more importantly, looking at the evidence for others, but also policy making for others, children, youth, families, and so on. So that word "for," it's a small word in your conference title, but I think it's particularly meaningful and significant, and I thank you for it. So Grameen Mahagav, I said to John, I need to scoot, unfortunately. It's one of those contexts where I'd love to stay, but unfortunately university presidents' diaries tend to pack out very quickly, so I try and stay for as long as I can, but I wish you well for the 2 days that you're here. Hope you enjoy your time. Agus Tamidana Vuikdiv. Thank you very much.
So as he leaves the building, I'll just say thanks to Kieran President O'Hogarty for his inspiring words and his consistent attention to values, which I think is something that we probably find easy to understand, and maybe others don't find as easy, but it certainly resonates at a very deep level for us. We can appreciate particularly your ongoing support for the work of the Centre and for ILAS, and for the Institute as it moves into a new phase, a new dynamic phase in its life that we are part of here in our centre. I'm going to say a couple of brief words because I know we want to get down to business. I know you're not here to listen to me. You're here to listen to and be inspired by the fantastic lineup of speakers we have and by the parallel sessions and our amazing, incredible young people that have come along to help us with the conference as well. But I do want to say a couple of things. First, I want to welcome you here. I want to say with some relief, I suppose, being really honest, but a great deal of satisfaction to actually look and see an auditorium of people who are here at a conference. And that's a real pleasure for us. This is our 10th conference since 1998. And we've done this conference without interruption over that period of time, 24 years. And what it means to us and what we wanted to express is a deep and enduring commitment to improving the lives of children, young people and families. And particularly our job in that, which is to create excellent research, but particularly to bring together research, policy and practice into dialogue, into fruitful dialogue that makes a difference. So that's really important. So this conference has a great symbolic value for us as colleagues in the centre. I should have said I'm speaking on behalf of our organising committee as well as I say these few introductory words. So for the conference itself, for the, I suppose, the focus, maybe we might start for yourselves, close your eyes and imagine what your first kiss was. Because, again, for lots of our young people, that has been an unusual and strange experience, and perhaps, what's the word I'm looking for, something that was postponed, perhaps, over the last few years. So I suppose I make the point really to say that the lives of young people have been essentially ruptured, whether in educational terms, whether in terms of general development, whether particularly in terms of social relationships, peer relationships. And I suppose in that context, the problems of the last few years have actually, if you want, buttressed and increased the light that shines on the many problems that exist out there. The disadvantage, the discrimination, the weak services, the exclusion, the policy that isn't working. And yet, and this is the spirit of the conference for me and for our committee, and yet the most important thing that we see is the possibility and the potential. And what we've seen over the last few years is the incredible young people's capacity for agency, the realization of new ways of being, of existing, of living. The fact that young people have contributed to the resolution of social problems, that have responded to crisis. We see that. And critically, we see the fantastic work of services that have actually been agile, that have responded. And we've seen how policymakers have supported that. So it's not all rosy in the garden, of course. But we want to start the conference with an emphasis on this idea of agency, of capacity, of possibility. So for the work that we do in the next day and a half, and it is work, it's intellectual work, it's brain work, we're asking that we bring that spirit of optimism, of possibility, that we recognize, if you want, what should be, but we really put our brains into what could be. So on that note, just want to say welcome again, and we'll have our first speaker and chair, Aisling and Alfgeir, to join us on the podium. So thank you.